Good morning, guys. In the last session, we discussed about what is a Maven, how to create a Maven project, how to add dependencies by using Maven, and what is IOC container, what is bean configuration file, how to configure Java class as a Spring Bean, then how to perform dependency injection by using IOC container, how to get a Spring Bean object from IOC container. So IOC container is one of the core concept that is available in the Spring framework. Instead of programmer creating the object, instead of a programmer performing the dependency injection, we can take the help of IOC container to perform dependency injection. Got it? So what is the dependency injection? When one class wants to communicate with the another class, we need to create the object and we need to inject that object into target class. Dependent object, we need to inject into target object. That process is called as dependency injection. That dependency injection we can perform in three ways: by using constructor, by using setter, by using field. We can perform dependency injection. Constructor injection through constructor, it is going to inject dependent object into target object. Setter injection, by calling the setter method, it will inject a dependent object into target object. Fine. Field injection is also possible, right? IOC container will take our Java class as a input. It will take configuration as a input. It will create the object. It will perform dependency injection and it will provide Spring Beans which are ready to use. What is the meaning of Spring Bean? What is the meaning of Spring Bean? The Java class which is managed by IOC container is called as a Spring Bean. So now tell me how to start the IOC container. By using application context, we are starting our IOC container. For this IOC container, we are giving beans configuration file as an input. What will be there in the beans configuration file? In the beans configuration file, bean definitions will be available. That means which bean object it has to create and how to perform dependency injection, what type of dependency injection should be performed, that will be there in the bean configuration file. Very good. Now I want to develop another application by using IOC container. This is a payment application we need to develop by using IOC container. So if you see here, if you want to manage your classes by using IOC container, you need to follow the rules given by strategy design pattern. So what is that strategy design pattern? What are the rules available in the strategy design pattern? Strategy design pattern is used to develop our classes with loosely coupling. Strategy design pattern used to develop our classes with loosely coupling. There are three rules available. What are those three rules? Favor composition over inheritance. Instead of going for inheritance to access one class method from the another class, go for composition. That is the concept of that. What is the second principle? What is the second principle? Code with the interfaces instead of going for implementation classes. Go for interfaces instead of going for implementation class. That means one class should not talk to another class directly. One class should not talk to another class directly. We need to use interface as a mediator so that we can inject any implementation class object into target class either by using constructor or by using setter. Now, already we developed our car engine application by using IOC container. Now I need to develop our payment application by using IOC container. Now, so what is the process that we need to follow? We need to create one Maven project. Why we are going for Maven project? Why not simple Java project? If you go for simple Java project, you need to download the jars. You need to add the jars to build path. That is difficult. So instead of that, we are going for Maven, which is a build tool for the Java applications. What is the benefit with the Maven? What is the benefit with the Maven? Maven can download required dependencies for the application based on pom.xml configuration. What is the meaning of a dependency? The jar that is required for our application. Now, I am developing my application by using Spring framework. So Spring is a dependency for my project. So I will tell to Maven to download Spring dependency. Got my point? So here, create a project, file new Maven project. Now create a simple project. What is the purpose of this checkbox, guys? Create a standalone project by using Maven. What is the meaning of group ID? Group ID means which company, this project belongs to which company. That company domain name we can give as a group ID. What is artifact ID? Project name. So I'm going to give this project name as fourth application using IOC container. Version, that is snapshot. Snapshot version represents it is this project is under development. Okay. And next one, packaging. How do you want to package your application? This application is a standalone application. We will package this application as a jar file. Click on finish. So with this, our Maven project will be created. Once this Maven project is created, go to pom.xml. In this pom.xml, there are no dependencies. Now, how to configure the dependency here? Let us go for dependencies. So a project can have multiple dependencies: Spring dependency, Hibernate dependency, JUnit dependency, Kafka dependency, Redis dependency, security dependency, JDBC driver dependency. Like that, we can add multiple dependencies in the project. Now, I want to use Spring dependency in my project. Where we can find out the dependencies? We can find the dependency in the mvnrepository.com. So search for Spring context. Click on search. So now you can see Spring context here. Open that context. Here, which version of the Spring you want? Now you see 6.1 version released November 16th. November 16th, they released a latest version in the Spring, that is 6.1.0. Now, click on the version number. Which version you want? Click on that version number. Then here, what type of project you are creating? Is it a Maven project or is it a Gradle project? If it is a Maven project, you take the Maven dependency. If it is a Gradle project, you take the Gradle dependency. Go for Maven, click on this box. It will copy that content. Okay. Go here and configure that dependency. I'm using Spring context dependency. When I configure Spring context, now if you observe, when I configure Spring context, if you observe, is it downloading only one jar file? Is it downloading only one jar file? No. In the last time, when you go for 6.0 version, micrometer jars are not available. But today, when I go for the latest version in the Spring, along with the Spring jar files, it is downloading micrometer jars also. What is micrometer? We are going to discuss in the upcoming classes. Got it? This is a new concept which is introduced in the Spring framework. Now, when I add Spring context dependency, it downloaded some other jar files also. Spring JCL, expression, core, context, beans, AOP. Along with that, it downloaded micrometer dependencies also. With this, my project setup is ready. Now I need to create my Java classes and I need to represent my Java classes as a Spring Beans. I need to create my Java classes. I need to represent my Java classes as Spring Beans. I need to create the classes by using strategy design pattern. Okay, here payment processor is our target class, and the payment can be done by using credit card, by using debit card, by using Sodexo card. My target classes should be loosely coupled with the dependent classes. If you want to develop your target class with loosely coupling, then you need to use a interface. Your target class should talk to dependent classes through interface. So first create the interface, then create the implementation classes for the interface, then create the target class and use the target class constructor or setter to inject the dependent object. Okay, so either through constructor or through setter, we can perform the dependency injection. Now, so let me create my interface first. The interface is iPayment. So create one interface. Interface name is iPayment. Okay. Package name. You can give anything, right? So in that Ashok ID interface. Inside this interface, then let us write a method. Public boolean pay. Okay. So double amount. How much amount is the bill amount that we are taking in the method parameter. Method having a parameter, method having a return type. Parameter is used to supply input for the method. Return type is used to return some value from that method after execution got completed. Then next one, create implementation classes, new class. So here I'm creating a class with a credit payment. That means credit card payment. Okay, so it is going to implement that interface, add that interface. iPayment is our interface. Click on OK. Fine, finish. So here we are having pay method. So let us write some body for that. System.out.println, system.out.println, credit card payment in progress. Credit card payment in progress. After payment, here we are going to write some logic, that is a business logic to deduct the amount. Then after this we are going to return true. If the payment is successful, we will return true, otherwise we will return false value. Good. Similarly, let us create one more class that is called debit card payment. Create one more class that is called debit card payment. So this is also going to implement interface called iPayment. Click on finish. Okay, now let us write body for this method. System.out.println, debit card payment in progress. Debit card payment in progress. Perfect. Now here also we are going to return true. Good. Next one. We need to maintain a constructor to understand whether for this class object is getting created or not. Just for our understanding, whether IOC container creating object for this class or not. So if the constructor is executed, that means the object got created. So I'm writing simple SOP statement, debit card payment constructor, just for understanding purpose. Debit card payment constructor. Similarly here, credit card payment constructor. Debit card payment constructor and credit card payment constructor we are writing. With this, our interface is ready and our implementations also ready. Now I need to create my target class, payment processor, new class. So let me take a target class with a name called payment processor. Good. So inside the payment processor, I want to write a method public void process payment. Public void process payment double amount. Now, so in order to do the payment processing, my target class should talk to dependent classes. How target class can talk to dependent classes? With loosely coupling by using interface reference variable. Okay, so let me take one interface here, private iPayment, payment I am taking. Okay, now by using this payment variable, we can call dependent class method payment.pay with the amount. Okay, it is returning boolean status. Now, if status is true, that means payment is successful. If status is true, payment is successful. System.out.println, thank you. Good. Now, so next, else payment failed. System.out.println, payment failed. System.out.println, payment failed. Good. So with this, we are able to write the method implementation. Yeah, perfect. So with this, I'm able to write my target class. My target class is using interface reference variable. Now, using this interface reference variable, we are calling the method. So whenever you call method by using interface reference variable, it will check for implementation class object to call the method. Why I am taking interface reference variable? Why not credit card payment reference variable? If I take credit card payment reference variable, my classes are tightly coupled. So that's why I'm using interface. The advantage with the interface is it can hold any implementation class object. Okay. Now, before calling this method, we need to perform dependency injection. That means we need to inject a dependent class object into this variable. So you can inject that by using constructor. You can inject that by using setter here, right? So let me write setter method. So whatever the variable you are writing, for this variable you need to write the setter method. Right click, source, generate getters and setters. I don't need a getter, I need only setter. Select the setter, click on generate, click on generate. So with this my setter method is ready. So let me write one SOP to understand. Let me write my SOP to understand set payment method called. Set payment called, and this set payment method is taking dependent object. So which dependent object? This dot payment dot get class dot get name. What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of get class dot get name? This dot payment dot get class dot get name. What is the meaning of that? It will tell you which dependent object injected into this variable. Now, if you see my target class, my class is tightly coupled with the dependent, or my class is loosely coupled with the dependent. My class is tightly coupled with the dependent, or it is loosely coupled with the dependent. My class is loosely coupled with the dependent because interface. Setter method is taking interface reference variable. What is the meaning of interface reference variable? What is the meaning of interface reference variable? Come on. It can take any implementation class object. Okay. Now, with this, my classes are ready. My classes are ready. So I need to tell to IOC container. I need to tell to IOC container to perform dependency injection. How IOC will understand for which classes it has to perform the dependency injection? How IOC will understand for which classes it has to perform the dependency injection? By using configuration. In how many ways we can perform this configuration? We can perform this configuration in two ways, either through XML. Second one is by using annotation. Okay, let me go for XML configuration. Let me go for XML configuration. SRC main resources. Now, where we need to create the configuration file in the Maven project. Where we need to create configuration file in the Maven project. In the Maven project, we will create configuration file in the resources folder. What should be the file name? What should be the file name? It can be anything. It should be a XML file. File name you can choose anything. Okay, good. Right click on the resources, new. Are you writing the notes? Huh? Close your book, man. I already told you in the last class. You're repeating the same thing. Whatever I am discussing, everything is there in the notes. I'm writing the notes for you already. So you don't need to write it once again. All of you able to access the notes. Then why you need to write once again? If you want to write it after class is completed, you can open the notes which I have uploaded. Then you can note down in your notebook. If you are writing the notes in the class, you will miss some points which I am explaining. Later point of time, you will get so many doubts when you are doing the practice. So that's why completely focus on listening. That's it. You don't need to focus on writing. If you want to maintain your own notes, after class completed, you can see the notes which I have uploaded. Then you can write down in your notebook. In the class, writing notes is not allowed because you are not doing first class or second class here. It's a professional course. Just listen first. Got it? Fine. Now, so I want to create my bean configuration file. That bean configuration file we will create in the resources folder. New XML file. Go to other. Take the XML file. Okay, click on next. Click on next. File name. So you can give the file name as anything. I'm giving the name as beans. I'm just giving the name as beans. You can give string-beans also. Beans.xml. Click on next and click on finish. Click on next or click on finish. Okay. No. Finish. So with this, our basic XML file is created, but it is not sufficient. We need to create a bean configuration file. We need to create bean configuration file. So can we take the template for the bean configuration file? From where we can take the template for the bean configuration file? From the official documentation of the Spring. So go to Google, then type Spring Bean XML configuration file. Spring Bean configuration XML file. So go to its website, go to the website of the Spring documentation. Here you can find out the XML structure. You can find the XML structure. Copy this one and keep it here. So here, what is this XML-NS? What is this XSI? XML-NS is a namespace. XML namespace. That means what tags we need to write inside this XML, the structure of the XML. The structure of the XML will decide by this XML schema. XML schema, XSD will be available. So XSD will define the structure. Based on that structure, we will write the tags in the XML. So what tags we are going to write? Bean definitions here. What is the meaning of a bean definition? Configuring Java class as a Spring Bean. Configuring Java class as a Spring Bean is called as a bean definition. So can you tell me the syntax to configure Java class as a bean definition? We are going to use bean id is equal to, then next one class is equal to. Like this I need to configure bean. I have two dependent beans, guys. Bean id is equal to and class is equal to. Okay, so every bean should have unique ID. Every bean should have unique ID. So now I'm using credit card payment. I'm using credit card payment. So configure that class name in dot ashok id dot credit card payment. In dot ashok id dot credit card payment. This class I configured as a Spring Bean. So what is the meaning of a Spring Bean? What is the meaning of a Spring Bean? IOC container will take care of that object creation and object destruction. That means Java class lifecycle will be managed by IOC container. Any Java class whose lifecycle managed by IOC container, that is called as a Spring Bean. So to represent Java class as a Spring Bean, we are using this bean tag. This is called bean definition. So similarly, I want to configure debit card payment. Okay, class is equal to in dot ashok id dot debit card payment. In dot ashok id dot debit card payment. So these are two dependent classes. Now I want to create my target bean. I need to configure my target bean. Okay, so do we need to follow any order? Do we need to follow any order in configuring the beans? Not required. So you can configure them in any order. So I can configure target after the dependent or before the dependent also. So let me configure that bean id is equal to payment processor. Payment processor, then class is equal to in dot ashok id dot payment processor. So we are configuring this Java class as a Spring Bean. So there are 3 Java classes available. For these 3 Java classes, I configured 3 bean definitions. Now, I need to start the IOC container. For that IOC container, I need to provide bean configuration file as an input. I need to start the IOC container and I need to pass bean configuration file as an input. Then IOC container will read this bean configuration file. It will create the object for those classes. Got it? So now, can you tell me how to start IOC container? I'm creating one test class. I'm creating one test class which is used to test our application. Is our application working as expected or not? Got my point? Okay. In order to execute this test class, let us take a main method which is entry point for our Java application execution. Now, I want to start IOC container. Can you tell me? How to start IOC container? We can start IOC container by using application context. Context is equal to, what is that? New class path XML application context. New class path XML application context. For that we are providing bean configuration file as a input. What is the file name? beans.xml. We are giving beans.xml as a input. Application context is equal to new class path XML application context. Okay. Now, can I check IOC container reading the bean configuration file or not? Come on, guys. Can I start this up? Can I execute this application now? Right click, run as Java application. So if you see what is happening now, credit card payment constructor is executed. What is the meaning of that? Credit card payment object is created. Debit card payment constructor is executed. That means the debit card payment object also created. What about the payment processor? Constructor is not written. There is no constructor to say the message. Okay. Can I write a constructor also just to print a message whether the constructor is executed or not? So go for this constructor system.out.println system.out.println payment processor constructor. Payment processor constructor. Okay, good. Now let us run this application, run as Java application. Now can you see payment processor constructor executed or not? So that means for 3 beans objects created by IOC container, in which order it is creating the objects? In which order it is creating the objects? From top to bottom. It is reading the beans from the top to bottom. First payment processor is available. That constructor got executed. That means first it created the object for payment processor. Then next one, credit card payment available. Credit card payment object created. Then next one, debit card payment available. Debit card payment object created. That means it is creating the objects according to the bean definitions order. Okay. Suppose if I configure payment processor at the end, if I configure payment processor at the end, then see what is the behavior. Run as Java application. What is happening now? It is creating at the end. That means, can I say it is reading the beans XML and creating the objects based on the definitions order? Yes. Based on the definitions order, it is creating the objects for the beans. So this concept is called lazy loading, or this concept is called eager loading. This concept is called as eager loading. What is the meaning of eager loading? Whenever the IOC container starts, it is creating the object for the spring beans which are configured in the bean configuration file. Okay. Now here objects are created for all the 3 classes, but dependency injection happened or dependency injection did not happen. Dependency injection did not happen. What is the proof? Setter method is not executed. I want to perform setter injection. IOC container reading the beans configuration file, but IOC container not performing the dependency injection. Why IOC container not performing the dependency injection? Why IOC not performed dependency injection? I have not informed IOC container. There is no information for the IOC to perform the dependency injection. Now I need to tell to IOC what is our target class and what is our dependent class. I want to perform setter injection now. Can you tell me how to perform setter injection? How to perform setter injection? By using property. For which class dependency injection required? Do I need to perform dependency injection for credit card payment? Do I need to perform dependency injection for debit card payment? Do I need to perform dependency injection for payment processor? Yes, payment processor is our target. So if you look at the diagram, so some people are asking in the group, sir, how to identify which is a target, which is dependent? That you should know as a programmer. You created payment processor. Your payment processor should talk to payment methods. Okay, then payment processor should talk to dependent classes. Payment processor should talk to dependent classes. So here payment processor is a target. This target should talk to dependent classes. This target should talk to dependent classes. Okay, now go for payment processor. Inside the bin tag, we need to write a property tag. I'm getting the options here. Because of this XSD. Whatever the XSD we have configured, it will tell you what tags we need to write in the XML. Here we can write a tag called property tag, property name. What is the name represents? That means what is the variable, for which variable dependency injection required. The variable name is the payment. That payment variable should have a setter method. If that variable does not have a setter, dependency injection cannot happen. Got it? Now take this variable name, then configure that variable name. Property name is equal to payment. Now which object you want to inject? We have two options here. One is credit payment is available, another one is debit payment is available. I can inject any one of this object into this payment variable through setter injection. How to specify dependent object now? By using ref. Ref is equal to dependent object ID. Suppose I want to go for credit card payment, then ref is equal to credit. So if you write property name is equal to payment, ref is equal to credit. That means in the payment processor, payment variable setter method will be called by passing credit card bin object as a parameter. That is the meaning of this line. Property name is equal to payment, ref is equal to credit. What is the meaning of that? Property name is equal to payment. That means there is a variable in the target class with a payment. That variable having a setter method. That setter method IOC will call by passing credit card object as a parameter. This line will tell IOC to perform setter injection. Are you guys getting my point? Perfect. Next, let us execute this. Run as Java application. Now can you see set payment method is called? Can you earlier it created only objects. Now it is calling setter method also. Why it is calling setter method also now? Why it is calling setter method also now? Come on. Because we have configured property tag. As we configured property tag, it is calling setter method. Perfect. Now IOC container started, objects are created, they are ready to use now. I want to get the object from the IOC container. Can you tell me how to get the object from the IOC container? Come on guys, how to get the object from IOC container? To get the object from the IOC container, we are going for get bin method. Tell me the syntax. Context dot get bin. Context dot get bin. Now you can go for required type. What is the bin we have? Payment processor class type. Payment processor dot class. Okay. What is the return type of this method? Which will return payment processor bin object. Once that bin object is available, can you call payment method? Yes, I want to call my payment method. That's it. pp dot process payment. Are you guys able to understand my point? Yes, pp dot process payment method is available. Very good. Run this program. Run as Java application. Yes, set payment method is called. Credit card payment object injected. Credit card payment is in progress. Then thank you. That means, are we able to perform dependency injection now? Are we able to perform dependency injection now? Yes, we are able to perform dependency injection now. Are you clear with my point? Yes, look at this. Bin configuration file. Anybody not able to understand this application? Anybody not able to understand this application? Any confusion? All of you able to develop the first project by using IOC? Anybody facing any issues? No? Good. Online students? Anybody not able to understand this application? All of you clear? If you guys confirm, then I will go for next concept. Clear for all of you? And guys, some people are asking me to share the code. Some people are asking me to share the code. Okay. Here, if I share my code with you people, am I going to lose anything? Am I going to lose anything if I share my code with you people? No. But the problem is, if I share my code, people will practice the typing, not Spring. Yes or no? If I share my code with you people will practice the typing. You will look at my code and you will type the same code in your laptop, in your system. But you will not think how to write the code on your own. So in simple terms, if trainer is giving the code for the students, which is developed in the class, students will become lazy. Not only you, even if I am in that situation also, I will do the same thing. So if I share that code with you people, you will look at my code and you will practice typing in your system. You will not practice Spring on your own. Okay. If you want, I can do that. I don't have any problem to share the code with you people, but that is a loss for you. You will not get ideas to develop the code. You will not improve your coding skills. You will not improve, you cannot improve your problem solving skills. Initially, you may get some exception. You may struggle to solve that exception in your system. 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, 10 days, you will struggle. With lot of exceptions you are getting in the practice. After 10 days, what is your confidence? You can develop the application on your own. You will understand where we are getting the problems. You can understand how to resolve that problem. You will do some Googling. You will do some research in the Google to develop the application to resolve the problem. That is required from this course. You need to learn that problem solving skills on your own. Today, I can give the code for you, but tomorrow in the company, will anybody give the code? You will have a different task. I will have a different task. Everybody will have a different task. Manager will not give the code for you to do the typing practice. You need to think and you need to write the code on your own. But initially, 10 days, you will face a lot of problems. I know that. 10 days, you will struggle with the practice. After 10 days, your confidence levels will increase. Your problem solving skills will increase. That will give you confidence to attend the interview. Got my point? So I request all of you to do the practice without looking at my code. Without taking my code, try to develop the application on your own. Try to develop the application on your own. Sir, no, we paid 8,000 rupees fees for you. You have to give the code. I can give it. I don't have any problem. If you want, I can share the code with you. I will not lose single rupee also if I share my code with you people. Definitely you will become lazy if you take my code. That is up to you. Whether you want to try on your own or whether you want to do it by seeing my code. Getting my point? Okay. So which one you want? Trying on your own or taking my code? Come on, guys. First you need to try on your own. If you face any problem, I'm available here. You can come and talk to me. And we have a group also. If you face any problem, you can post your question in that group. If you face any problem, you can post your question in that group. For online people, separate WhatsApp group is available for discussion. For offline people also, separate WhatsApp group is available for the discussion. Any problem you are facing, you can post in the group. So guys, if someone post a doubt, if someone post a screenshot with the problem, so don't think that sir will respond for that. So if you know the answer, you can respond for that. So when I get time, I will also respond for that. If you don't get any reply from me, so don't feel bad. You can discuss with me in the class. Online people as well as offline people. Okay guys. For offline students, best option. After your class is completed, I have a next class in the online. I will be available here only till 11 o'clock. Okay. Once the class is completed, immediately do the practice and come to me. If any problem is there, I can solve that problem for you. Mostly in the another 10 days, morning and evening class will be available. Java project we need to start. Project batch, mostly I'm thinking to start on 29th. On the 29th, we are going to start the project batch. So actually I planned for 27th, guys, but so I got request from my college to give a seminar on the AWS cloud for fourth year BTech students. So 2 days I'm going to my college, my BTech college. I did my BTech in Hyderabad. So my management requested for AWS cloud seminar for 2 days. So I will go to that seminar. Class will be available. Seminar will be there from 11 to 4 o'clock. Okay. So full day class I need to take on the AWS cloud for 2 days. So that's why I'm changing our batch date to 29th. 29th November, our Java real-time project batch also will start. Okay. By that time, Java real-time batch starts, we will learn basics of the Spring Boot, how to work with Spring Boot application, what are the advantages of Spring Boot, how to avoid these configurations in the Spring Boot. You will get the basic idea on the Spring Boot. Then project batch and Spring Boot microservices will run parallelly. So 2 classes will be there per day. 2 classes will be there per day. Okay. So in the project batch, first 20 days, we will learn some tools. After 20 days, our mini projects will start, major project will start, then AWS cloud, then Angular for the front-end development we are going to learn. Okay. So you need to attend 2 classes parallelly for that. One is a Spring Boot microservice, which is at 7:30 a.m. It is not going to change. Project batch timing, I'm checking. Either I can go with morning 11 o'clock or evening at 7:30 or something like that. I can take for that. Okay. We will check the times for that. Good. So by the time we are going to start the project, you need to become expert in developing application by using Spring Boot. So to develop application by using Spring Boot, this IOC container, dependency injection, auto wiring, these concepts you need to be very strong. Are you clear, guys? So don't skip your practice. Just attending the classes will not help you. These topics, initially, they are little confusing. They are little confusing, but no option. We have to learn and we have to do the practice. Without having knowledge on the Spring Boot, you can't understand the project. Complete project we are going to develop with the Spring Boot and microservices only. Complete with real-time standards, you are going to develop the project. So if you want to check, in the lab, there are some people who are already attending the project batch at 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, I have the project batch. We are developing major project for them. So in the major project, the thing is not like this. Every topic, sir will explain theoretically, sir will write the code, sir will explain the code line by line, sir will show the output in the class. No, project means project. I will give the requirement, you need to develop the project. I will help you in development, but I will not do the complete development. If I do the complete development, what is the use of joining the project batch? I will give you requirement. You need to do the analysis on your own. You need to develop the code on your own. You need to test it. You need to deploy. You need to do everything. How 3 years experienced developer will work in the company, same thing you will do in the project batch. That same project we are developing in the class, you can keep in the resume to attend the experienced interviews, not fresher. After learning this much content, Spring Boot microservices, 20 plus real-time tools, Java major project development with Boot microservices, AWS cloud deployments, Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins, Angular frontend. Do you want to go as a fresher? Do you want to work for 15,000, 20,000? No. Target should be big. Minimum we need to get 70 to 80,000 salary per month. That is the target. That is the target. That is not easy. So our target is big. When the target is big, our effort should be big. You need to keep more efforts if you want to achieve that target. Don't aim for fresher job. Don't aim for fresher job. For fresher, this much content is not required. I'm not teaching this content for the fresher. I'm teaching the content for 4 years experienced person. In that level, we are going to learn the subject. So you need to focus on experienced interviews, not the fresher interviews. Are you getting my point? I will tell you how to prepare the resume. Already, sample resumes I have given in the Ashok IT mobile app. If you see free material section, sample resumes are there. Fresher resume is there. Experienced resume is also available. So you need to focus on experienced interviews, not the fresher interview. Sir, I completed my BTech in the 2023. How can I attend the experience interview? Just give it a try. Just check your knowledge. Just check your knowledge. So in the interview, they will not ask you your certificate, right? So in the interview, they will ask your skills. They will check your skills. So if you don't have a gap also, no problem. Just prepare the resume with the 3 years experience, upload in the Naukri. You will get the call. Attend 3-4 interviews. Then you will understand how much is subject you have learnt in the training. How much is subject you have learnt in the training. Why? Sir is telling to keep the experience. You will realize after attending 3-4 interviews. So once you crack interview with 3 years experience, then can't you attend fresher interview? If you are able to attend the experience interview for 3 to 4 times, whenever you get the chance to attend a fresher interview, it is juzubi. If you can attend the 4 years experience, 3 years experience interview, what is the big challenge in attending the fresher interview? So directly start with the experienced interview, not with the fresher interview, so that you can get the confidence. Okay, so my subject is equal to 3 years experienced person. At that confidence is required to crack the interview. Are you getting my point? Good. But from my side, I will keep my 100% effort. Same thing I'm expecting from you people also. So if you do the practice regularly, then only that target is possible. Otherwise, you need to attend the fresher interview. You need to work for 10,000, 15,000 salary per month. So it is in your hands. Do you want to get 15,000 salary per month, or you want to get 70 to 80,000 salary per month? There are students who got 18 lakhs package, 20 lakhs package with fake experience in our institute. So you need to keep that in your mind. If you don't have a gap, how to cover that gap? All those things we are going to discuss. Okay, I will tell you my story. I completed my BTech in the 2012. I came to Amirpet. I attended Java training for 1 year in the institute. That institute is not available now. In the COVID, it is gone. Right. After that, in 2013, I got my job with 3.5 years experience. My BTech completed in the 2012. I got my job in 2013, first job with 3.5 years experience. How I have managed? Photoshop. In the Photoshop, I have edited my certificates. 500 rupees I have given for Photoshop person. He changed my passed out year. I gave in the company. I joined in the company. Within 20 days, I was not able to do the coding properly. They removed me from the job because my skill is not matching with 3.5 years experienced person. 10 days, 15 days. Again, I have given the interview. I selected in another company with 2 lakhs extra package. In the first company, I got 4 lakhs. Within 20 days, fired because performance is not good. Then within another 20 days, I got my second job. First company 4.5 package. Second company 6.5 package, which is good. Do I need to feel bad for losing first job? Do I need to feel happy for getting second job with more package? Second job with more package. That's it. From then, journey started as a Java developer. So that is how there are so many options are there. So just you need to do the practice. You need to give it a try. So I attended 11 interviews. I got selected in my 11th interview. 10 interviews I failed as an I did not attend single fresher interview also. When I am doing my Java course, I did not attend single fresher interview also. All the 11 interviews with 3.5 years experience. 10 interviews failed. In every interview, 20 to 25 questions. 10 into 25, 250 questions. When I go for 11th interview, there is nothing new. Whatever the questions they asked in the 10 companies, same questions they asked in the 11th company also. So that is the advantage if you attend the interviews. Got my point? You need to keep all these things in the mind. when you are doing the course. Plan it properly. Within 4 months of time, your life turning point, getting a good job with a decent package. Getting a good job with a decent package. Because once you attend this Spring Boot microservice Java real-time project, it is a full meals for you. You no need to attend any other training in the Amirpet. So you need to keep in mind, these two courses should be last courses for me as a student. So after completing these courses, you need to get the job, you need to become an employee. You no need to attend any other course in the Amirpet. It's not required because we are learning Boot, microservice, 20 plus tools, AWS Cloud, Angular frontend, DevOps deployment, everything we are going to learn here. By keeping experienced people in the mind, we are going to discuss the subject. So this is sufficient. So from your side, effort is required. Focus is required from your side. So sit in the lab, practice, 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 practice. That is the only thing you need to do. Got my point? Don't waste your time. The next 4 months is very crucial for you. And the other advantage for you people, now market is down. Now market is down. Calls are not there. In the December, 0 calls. In the December, IT companies shutdown period. From the December 20 onwards, almost all the IT companies will be on the vacation leaves. IT employees will be on the vacation for Christmas, New Year, all that stuff. Then again, Pongal holidays will be there. February, March, financial year ending. Companies will be busy with the accounts, auditing process, balance sheet and all. Then after April, May, calls are going to start. So by the time calls are start, we will be ready with our content. We will complete our course by that time. We'll complete our course by that time. Then you can start attending the interviews. Getting my point? Good. Fine. So with this, we are able to develop our first application by using IOC container. Here we are performing setter injection by using setter method. Now I want to go for constructor injection. Is it possible? I want to go for constructor injection, guys. Is it possible? Yes. How to perform the constructor injection? We need to write a parameterized constructor here. If you want to go for constructor injection, we need to go for parameterized constructor. So how to perform parameterized constructor? How to write the parameter? Already we have 0 param constructor. Can I write one more constructor here? Can I write one more constructor here? Public payment processor. Public payment processor. I'm going to take payment here. This dot payment is equal to payment. This dot payment is equal to payment. So if you observe in my class, 0 param constructor is available, 0 arg constructor is available, 0 arg constructor available, and parameterized constructor is also available. Okay, this is param constructor. When there are two constructors available, one is a 0 param constructor, another one is parameterized constructor. I am asking IOC to perform setter injection. IOC will call which constructor to perform dependency which constructor to create the object now. When you are asking IOC to perform setter injection, it will go for 0 param constructor to perform dependency injection. Which constructor is executed for the target class? 0 param constructor is executed for the target class. Now I want to go for parameterized constructor injection. How can I do that? Instead of the property tag, what I need to do now? Instead of the property tag, I need to write constructor-arg. Okay, what is the name of the variable? The name of the variable is payment. What object you want to inject? Ref is equal to some debit. So like this we are using constructor injection. Property tag will represent setter injection. Constructor-arg tag will represent constructor injection. Now check this. Earlier IOC created object for the target by using 0 argument constructor. Now check the behavior of the IOC. Run as Java application. Now which constructor it is calling? Parameterized constructor it is calling. Suppose if I perform both the constructor injection as well as setter injection, what will happen? If I perform constructor injection as well as setter injection for the same variable, what will happen? What will happen? Setter injection will override constructor injection. Why setter injection will override the constructor injection? Why setter injection will override the constructor injection? Constructor injection will happen at the time of object creation. After the object is created, setter injection will happen. So whatever the object injected by the constructor will be overriding by, it will override by constructor injection. So which type of a payment will happen in now? Which type of payment will happen now? Debit card payment will happen or credit card payment will happen? Debit card payment, credit card payment will happen, because first we are going to inject this debit card payment object into this variable using this constructor. Then after we are performing setter injection by using credit card. So whatever the value initialized by the constructor, the setter method is reinitializing the variable with the different value. Okay, setter injection value will be the final value. Setter injection value will be the final value. So it is going to perform dependency injection and it is going to call credit card payment method. Why not debit card payment method? Why not debit card payment method? First constructor injection will happen, then setter injection will happen. Can I configure this constructor after the setter? Will there be any change? Is that order important? So if I configure like this, some people may think, sir, you configured constructor first, that's why constructor injection will happen. You configured property last so setter injection will happen at the last. Now I'm interchanging. First I configured property tag, then I configured constructor arg. Then which injection will happen first? Constructor or setter? But first I configured property now. First I configured property now. So is it going to perform setter injection first? Setter injection means it should call the setter method. To call the setter method, object is required. So if it is object is required, that means it has to create the object. When the object will create? When the constructor is executed. Got my point? So which injection will happen first? Always a constructor injection will happen first. Then after, setter injection will happen. Now check this. Run as Java application. Now here, what happened first? Constructor is executed first. Then setter injection happened. Credit card object injected. Constructor injection injecting credit card debit card object. Setter injection injecting credit card object. Final value will be credit card object. So the payment will happen through credit card. Now in my company, in my application, I want to add Sodexo payment. I want to add Sodexo payment. When I want to add the Sodexo payment, is there any change required for my target? Do I need to modify anything in the target? No need to modify anything in the target. What is the reason? My target is not talking to the classes directly. My target is talking to interface. That interface can have any number of implementations. Who is injecting that dependent into target? Not programmer. IOC container taking care of that dependency injection. So my classes are loosely coupled. Maintenance is easy. So let us create one more class called Sodexo payment. What is Sodexo? Food card given by companies. System.out.println. Let us write constructor to understand whether object is created for this class or not. Sodexo card payment constructor. Okay, now let us let us run this application now. Run as Java application. Can you see? Is IOC creating object for Sodexo card? Class is available. Sodexo card payment class is available. It is implementing the interface. But why? Object is not created. IOC don't know about that class. So I created that class in the project, but IOC don't know. IOC will know the classes based on definitions in the configuration file. In the bean configuration file, Sodexo bean is not configured. Okay, can you tell me how to configure that? How to configure that? Bean ID is equal to Sodexo. ID can be anything, but it should be unique, guys. Then class is equal to fully qualified name. So which is Sodexo card payment. Sodexo card payment. Now run this application. Run as Java application. It failed. Spelling mistake. Sodex card payment. Okay, Sodexo basically. Run as Java application. Now, can you see Sodexo object also created? So what are the definitions available in the configuration file? Based on that, IOC container creating the object for that class. Okay, good. Now, forget about this. I'm calling context.getBean method. What is the meaning of a context.getBean method? What is the meaning of context.getBean method? Get the object from the IOC container. So let me take it as pp1. Okay, now I'm going to write same line of code with the pp2. Now tell me how many objects will be created. Now I am going to print system.out.println pp1.hashcode system.out.println pp2.hashcode. Okay, pp1.hashcode pp2.hashcode. So now tell me how many, what is the output now? I'm getting two objects now. Two objects can have same hash code. Two objects can have the same hash code in the JVM. How many objects will be created now? Two objects or one object? Can you check that? Yes. If you are getting same hash code, that means only one object. If you get two different hash codes, that means two different objects got created. Right click, run as Java application. Can you see what happened? Why it is coming in the red color? Error. It's my mistake. System.out.println. Run as Java application. Now, can you see hash codes are same or hash codes are different? Hash codes are same. What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of that? If you call getBean method for 2 times also, IOC container is giving the same object. IOC container giving the same object. This is a interview question. How many objects will be created for Spring Bean? How many objects IOC container will create for the Spring Bean? Now, payment processor is a class which is configured as a Spring Bean. Payment processor is a class which is configured as a Spring Bean. How many objects will be created for this bean through IOC container? The answer is, what is the answer? No, answer is not one. The answer is depends on scope of the bean. How many objects should be created for the Spring Bean depends on scope of the bean. Okay, Spring Bean scopes concept is available. Spring Bean scopes concept is available. Based on the bean scope, IOC will decide how many objects should be created. So currently it is creating only one object because by default every Spring Bean is a singleton class. What is a singleton? What is a singleton? Only one object will be created. So every Spring Bean default scope is a singleton. If you don't specify any scope, by default, IOC will consider the scope as a singleton. That is the reason it is giving the same object when you call getBean method for 2 times. It is giving the same hash code when I call getBean method for 2 times. Let me call it once again also. Payment processor pp3 is equal to context.getBean of payment processor. Context.getBean of payment processor pp3. System.out.println pp3.hashcode. pp3.hashcode. Good. I'm getting the bean object 3 times from the IOC container. Context.getBean, context.getBean. 3 times I am calling the getBean method for the same bean. Now I am printing the hash code of the 3 bean objects, right? Run as Java application. Can you see 3 objects having the same hash code? 3 objects are having the different hash codes. 3 objects are having the same hash code. That means only one object got created. Only one object got created. The reason is scope. The reason is scope. Now here, what is bean scope in the Spring Bean? Bean scopes in the Spring Bean. So bean scope will decide how many objects should be created for the Spring Bean. So bean scope will decide how many objects should be created for Spring Bean. Bean scope will decide how many objects should be created for Spring Bean. We have 4 types of scopes. One is called as singleton. This is by default. If you don't configure any scope, then by default, IOC will consider as a singleton. Only one object will be created. If you don't specify any scope for the bean, then it will consider the default scope as a singleton. Then second one is prototype. The second scope is a prototype scope. Then third one is request. Fourth one is session. So there are 4 types of scopes available for the Spring Bean. So what is the purpose of the Spring Bean? Bean scope will decide how many objects should be created for the Spring Bean class. How many objects should be created for bean class? How many types of scopes we have? There are 4 types of scopes we have. One is called singleton scope. Second one is called prototype scope. Third one is called request scope. Fourth one is called session scope. Okay, so currently I'm removing all these things now. So here I have started my IOC container. Am I asking IOC to create the object? Now I'm just starting my IOC container. Run as a Java application. What happened? Objects are created or not? What IOC is doing? Eager loading. What IOC doing, guys? Eager loading. Now, what is the scope of the bean now? Singleton. The bean scope is singleton. Let me remove all these things. Just understand. Credit card payment. Only one bean is available. Go to the test class. Run as a Java application. Now what happened? Object got created. So now let me change the scope as prototype. Let me change the scope is equal to prototype. Now, so bean ID, bean class, then bean scope. ID, class, scope. If I don't write the scope, then what is the scope by default? Singleton. What is the meaning of singleton? Only one object will be created by IOC container to save the memory. Only one object will be created by IOC. If I go for scope is equal to prototype, now you check it. Earlier, when the scope is a default scope, when I start the IOC container, it is performing eager loading. Now, IOC will perform lazy loading. Run the application, run as a Java application. Is it creating object for the credit card? Why it is not creating the object for the credit card? Scope is prototype. Okay, so that means the definition will change now. IOC will perform lazy loading or eager loading. Depends on the bean scope. IOC will perform lazy loading or IOC will perform eager loading. Depends on the bean scope. Now I will change my definition. IOC container will perform lazy loading for prototype bean scopes. IOC will perform eager loading for singleton bean scopes. Are you getting my point? If your bean scope is a singleton, then IOC will perform eager loading. Whenever now you see, if I don't configure the scope here, if I don't configure any scope in the bean, when I run my application, what is happening? Eager loading. It is loading the bean, it is creating the object. Why it is performing eager loading? It is a singleton. Singleton means how many objects? Let me create that one object now and keep it ready. So later point of time, I no need to create that object. In this application, for this bean, only one object is required. Let me create that object now, keep it ready. Later point of time, when someone asks that object, I will return the existing object. I will not create the new object. For example, if I give the scope is a prototype. Prototype means whenever you call getBean method, every time new object will be created. Whenever you go for scope is equal to prototype, every time new object will be created. That a new object also will be created based on the demand. If you call getBean, then only object will be created. Got it? Now, so the scope I am configuring as a prototype, guys. Now, start the IOC container and check it. Is it creating the object for the bean? No. Now let me call getBean method context.getBean. I configured only one bean, credit card payment dot class. Credit card payment dot class. Okay, this is C1. Now I am getting one bean object, get bean method I am calling, run as Java application. Now can you see object is created? Yes, let me print its a hash code. System.out.println C1 code. Run as Java application. We can see hash code of the object. Let me do the same thing now. This time getBean method store into C2 variable, print C2 code. Okay, run as Java application. What happened now? How many times that constructor got executed? Constructor executed for 2 times. Is it having 2 different objects or single object? Different hash code. That means 2 different objects are created. So when the bean scope is prototype, when it is creating the bean object, whenever you call getBean method, this is called lazy loading. This is called lazy loading. If the bean scope is a singleton, IOC will perform eager loading. For the singleton scoped beans, only one object will be created at the time of IOC container starting. For the prototype beans, object will be created whenever you call getBean method. In the real-time project, if there are 100 classes available in the project, 99 classes, sometimes 99 to 100 classes will be singleton only. Already I discussed about singleton in the advanced Java. Why we need to go for singleton? Unnecessarily, why should we create a new object every time? It will waste the memory in the JVM. So that's why we will create only one object for the class by using singleton. But when you go for the Spring, do I need to make the class as singleton through program? Do I need to write the logic to make the class as singleton? No. By default, IOC will consider our class as a singleton. It will create only one object. Okay. So here you need to keep that point in your mind. If you don't configure any scope, then it is a singleton. Singleton scoped beans will have only one object. For singleton scoped beans, only one object will be created by IOC container at the time of IOC starting. So this is called eager loading. This is called eager loading. For prototype scoped beans, For prototype scoped beans, IOC will create new object every time when you call getBean method. For prototype scoped beans, IOC will create new object every time. New object every time based on demand. Based on demand. What is the meaning of based on demand? When you call getBean method, it will follow which concept here? It will follow lazy loading concept. Now tell me, how many objects will be created for Spring Bean? How many objects will be created for the Spring Bean? Depends on the scope of the bean. If the bean scope is singleton, only one object will be created at the time of IOC starting. If you call getBean method for 10 times also, same object it is going to return. How many objects will be created for the prototype? Whenever you call getBean method, then only object will be created on demand basis. For prototype beans, it is going to follow lazy loading concept. Now the biggest question, when to go for singleton, when to go for prototype? When to go for singleton, when to go for prototype? What is that requirement? Can you tell me that requirement? Can you tell me that requirement? When should we go for singleton? When should we go for prototype? And what about the request and session? This request and session related to WebMVC concept, guys. So we are going to discuss a Spring WebMVC, right? At that time, I will talk about the request and session scope in the Spring Bean. You understand what is bean scope and how it is working? What is bean scope? What is bean scope? Bean scope will decide how many objects should be created for the bean and when objects should be created for the bean. So how many objects will be created for the bean depends on the scope. When the object will be created for the bean also depends on the scope. Singleton means only one object. At the time of IOC starting, it will create the object. Prototype means every time new object will be created when you call getBean method. For singleton beans, IOC will follow eager loading. For prototype beans, IOC will follow lazy loading. Clear with my point? Now, good. Now, we need to understand when to go for the scope as a singleton, when to go for scope as a prototype. Based on the requirement. What is that requirement? Sorry? Specifications are changing object to object, correct? Right answer. Can you give any use case, any example for that? That is logic in the method. One object sufficient to call that method. So think and tell me before coming to next session. You think and tell me before coming to next session when to go for scope as singleton, when to go for the scope as prototype. Clear? Good. Fine. I'm going to upload these notes. Now here we are going to write one more point. To configure bean scope, we will use scope attribute. We will use scope attribute. How we will configure that? Like this. So like this, we are going to configure scope attribute. If I don't configure any scope, then what will happen? If I don't configure any scope for the bean, then by default, it will become singleton scope. Good. Fine, guys. So with this, I'm stopping for today. We'll meet again on Monday. Before coming to Monday, you think and tell me when we should go for singleton, when we should go for prototype. Cool. Any questions, anyone? Anybody having any questions? No questions. All good. Yes. Have your breakfast, come back and do the practice. Do the practice. Now, okay. So next one, what I want you to do is requirement. Now I'm giving the requirement. Basically, it is a assignment. Develop Java application using Spring framework. Develop Java application using Spring framework. Read book data from keyboard and insert into DB table using JDBC. Okay, can you try that? You can try with the Spring JDBC. I have not explained what is the Spring JDBC. That is a analysis for you. So n number of examples are there in the internet, n number of videos are there in the YouTube. Okay, so I want you to do some self-learning. I will explain Spring JDBC. It is part of our syllabus. But before I'm going to explain, I want you people to give a try, because from now onwards till Monday, you don't have any work. From now onwards till Monday, you don't have any work. Let's utilize this space to do some research on Spring JDBC. Already you know what is JDBC, how to develop the application by using JDBC. That is not important for us. Now what is important? How to work with Spring JDBC to develop our application. Okay, I want you to develop a program to read the data from the keyboard and insert that data into database table by using Spring framework with layered architecture. Create a DAO class with a Spring JDBC logic, then create a service class, then create a test class, read the data, store the data into database. I will tell you the architecture also you need to follow. I will tell you architecture also you need to follow. I want you to create one table in the database. Manually create one book table in the database. Book ID, book name, book price, sufficient. Okay. So to communicate with the database, I want you to develop one book DAO. I want you to develop one book DAO. Book DAO should use Spring JDBC, guys, not a normal JDBC. It should use Spring JDBC to communicate with the database. We don't know what is Spring JDBC analysis. In the internet, hundreds of tutorials are available. In the YouTube, thousands of videos are available on the Spring JDBC. Go through that, try to implement that on your own. Okay, and I want you to write one class called book service. I want to write one class called book service class. Now, this book service class, I want you to test by using test class. Okay, one test class will be available. Test class will use IOC container to get the bean object. Based on that, it should call to service. Service should talk to DAO. DAO should talk to database. I want you to develop this requirement by using Spring framework with IOC container by following strategy design pattern. I want you to follow this strategy design pattern, develop this application by using Spring JDBC. That is a new topic. You need to do analysis. Self-learning is very, very important. Self-learning is very, very important. So I got my job with the Struts framework. After joining in the company with the Struts framework, within 1.5 years, they asked me to work on the Spring framework. Then do I need to come to Amirpet to learn the Spring framework? Self-learning. So as a programmer, you need to have the self-learning mechanism. You should be able to understand the concept on your own. Currently, you are dependent on me. I'm injecting the subject into your brain. I'm writing the notes. I'm explaining. I'm writing the code, drawing the diagram, repeating, asking you to tell me what I have explained. We are doing this practice now. After 4 months, you will go to the company. In the company, they will ask you to work on the new technology. Can you come to Amirpet again to learn the technology? No. You need to learn that on your own. So that is important. So I want you to try learning Spring JDBC on your own and develop one application. If you learn that on your own, that will give very good confidence. That will give very good confidence. Clear, guys? Fine. Thank you. We'll meet again on Monday at 7:30 a.m. So today I want all of you to come and sit here and do the practice on this requirement. So try to implement. This is R&D, research and development. You need to research about Spring JDBC. You need to develop this application by using Spring JDBC with the layered architecture. R&D you have to do for today and tomorrow. Got it? I want to see everyone in the lab by 10 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, complete your breakfast. Come here, sit and do the practice. I will be available here. If you have any doubt, then I will clarify. If you have any doubt, I will clarify your doubt. That's my point. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Online students, anybody having any questions? If you have any question, you can unmute and you can ask me.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Yes, sir. Actually, my question is about the real-time project batch. Uh, you use Angular for that project, right?
Correct, sir. One
Yeah,
minute,
but
1 minute.
yeah,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
yes, sir. Yeah, but my case is like I don't know even HTML, CSS also. So if I start now, it's like it takes time. So I
No, sir.
feel that
HTML, CSS is very simple. Within 10 hours, you can learn that. Angular we will cover in the course.
yeah, but JavaScript
1 minute.
and TypeScript also there, no? So, is it possible to I will only focus on the back end, but in that course, so that I can apply as a back end developer? Is it possible? Hello.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Someone asking a question.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hi.
yeah, yes. I just asked about that
Sir,
real time
if you,
project
if
course.
you, yeah, sir, if you don't know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, so you have another
Hmm.
2 months of time because Angular will be the last part in the course. So 3 months of time
Okay.
is there. Within the 3 months of time, you can learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript also. Those videos also available in our YouTube channel. We conducted 2 months free batch for UI development. I will share that link in the WhatsApp group. You can go through
But
that and you can learn
it
that.
will be 3 courses for me, right? I can manage or not.
Sir, if you want to get the job, you have to learn. There is no shortcut. You have to spend your time.
Yeah,
Okay.
but my question is, I can only focus on the back end. Is it possible in
You
your
can
course?
yes, sir. You can focus only on the backend part. So you can't understand that UI development.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, you can focus only on the backend development. If you
Yeah,
want to
so
become
that
a
I
full
can
stack,
apply as a
you
backend
can
developer.
yes, you can attend the interviews as a backend developers also. If you have
Mhm.
time, you can learn that Angular also, because we are going to cover, then you will become a full stack developer. It's up to you whether you want to go as a backend developer or you want to go as a full stack developer. But in the course, we are going to discuss full stack development.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, fine.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Can you send me the doubt discussion WhatsApp link?
Did you complete your enrollment?
Yes, I have already completed.
Yeah, so admin team will add you in the group. So today I will tell to admin team.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
To get
Yeah, hello.
into this project batch, real-time project batch, is it compulsory to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript?
Sorry, can you come again, sir?
To get into real-time project, like we will have real-time project batch, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
in
Correct. Correct.
that
Correct. Correct.
HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, is it mandatory to learn? Because we are going
So
to learn.
basics of that is required, sir. Basics
Okay.
of that is required.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Yes. Hi. Good morning, sir.
Very good morning.
Sir, actually, I was practicing the Spring IOC project,
Okay.
and there I was getting one exception. I have Googled it, and then
Okay.
only I have come back to you.
Sure. After that, I have another class at 9 o'clock now. After the class, send me a message in the group. We can connect on that.
I just sent you in the chat. Just let me know that.
Yeah, I need to see that application. What is the issue that you are getting? That means
That is
maybe.
the basic application, sir. Diesel
Yeah,
engine,
I understood.
petrol one.
I
Yeah.
understood. Your class name is incorrect in that. It is saying that class not found exception. That means you have given the wrong class name in that bin configuration XML. Okay, that is the issue.
Okay. Yeah.
Class not found means it is not able to locate where is your class.
Okay. So basically, we need to provide the whole path, right?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Okay, I'll look into it again, and if not, I'll ping in the WhatsApp.
Sure.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, hi, sir.
Yeah, hi.
I have the question regarding the today's example. So
Yeah.
let's say we have to configure the injection on the dynamic at the runtime.
Yes, sir.
So
In the standalone application, so injection we are making in the XML file, right? If you want to go for a dynamic injection, interface injection concept we need to use.
Okay, in that case, the configuration will be different, or it
Yes,
will be
sir.
the same
Configuration
like
will
the
be
XML?
different. We will discuss interface injection.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Good. Fine. Thank you, guys. With this, I'm stopping. We'll meet again on Monday. So please do the practice on the given task.